Well, it's been another busy week with Alabama Broadcast Services. We started out this week putting up a Ubiquiti point-to-point link system for one of the clients. We were getting ready for the new transmitter install. Broadband internet access is not available at that site. And a while back, the AT&T phone line, which had been servicing us for a Burke telemetry unit for the old transmitter system, went down, and when the general manager of the station called AT&T, they said someone had called and canceled the service, which no one from the company had done. And to make it worse, they refused to go in and restore the service. We suspect that probably was all really related to the phase out of copper lines, and AT&T was not going to go back and repair or reinstall a POT service. So that was 3 climbs. One to put the Ubiquiti access point at the STL tower at their studios. Then we turned around and had to go to the transmitter site and put the station radio and antenna up and peak that one, and then go back and do a climb on the STL tower to peak that antenna. Once we got that going, the next day it was finishing up the wiring, the install, and firing up their brand new Gatesair Flexiva Fax 3K transmitter, which is working great, I'm happy to say. It's been on the air for about 4 days now, and it's just running without any hitches. And I went to their studios the next day and finished up some network settings, because that's now all functioning thanks to the Ubiquiti point-to-point link, as though it was right there in the building with them. So we have access to check everything on the transmitter, control it, and receive all of the telemetry, alarms, warnings, whatever, which we hope we don't get any. We can do that at the studios, and I can do that remotely as well. It sends us text messages, sends us emails, so very, very happy with the Fax 3K transmitter. And then yesterday I spent at a site tearing down the 200 amp contactor on an old Harris HT20 CD transmitter. This thing started buzzing and chattering very loudly in that 200 amp contactor some time back. And so tore that down yesterday, cleaned the faces of the magnet coil, the 2 halves of the magnet coil, and also cleaned up the contact plates. There's 12 of those that were pretty oxidized, a little bit pitted up. Still got some work to do on that. It still has buzz and chatter, but we've got a couple more things we can try with that, short of having to completely tear a contactor down and replace all of the contacts, the coil, and several other things. There is a modification that Gatesair had put out a bulletin about years ago, which concerned changing a tap on the bias transformer, which is where the 120 volts for the contactor's actuator coil comes from. And if I recall right, that bulletin talked about the fact that sometimes if you have a little low voltage coming into the building, or if there's just aging, then sometimes you have to tap it for a little bit higher voltage so you can get some more current to help hold that contactor tight. The transmitter is working great. It has never been an issue as far as the function of the transmitter, but it has been an issue of you cannot hear yourself think inside that building. And so today, it's Saturday, I am headed back down to the site where we just put in the new Fax 3K to pull out the loaner transmitter that they've been running on since June 29th or so. Lightning hit that site, and it took out the transmitter, did some major damage. Also, totally, for all intents and purposes, incinerated the tower light controller, which has been replaced. Now we've got a new transmitter working, and did a lot of work beefing up the grounding. Added a couple of ground bus bars, good heavy gauge grounding. Redid some of the wiring out at the disconnect box and in the AC breaker and distribution panel, because some of the neutrals and grounds were across the places where they shouldn't be. That should all occur only at the first point of disconnect, which is out there on the service pole. So it's just been kind of a crazy week. And then when I get done with going and pulling this transmitter to relocate it today, this backup transmitter, it's back to the lab to tidy up a whole bunch of notes and type everything up, get it into the engineering books, engineering log books for the sites, or into the folders, so that as I go to visit each site next, I add those things to them. Try to keep copious notes and lots of photographs on everything. You cannot take too many photographs or have too many notes about what you've done. I try to keep in mind that one of these days somebody's going to come along behind me for one reason or another, and they need to know what's been done and why and when, and not have to scratch their heads and wonder why something's been re-engineered, rewired, changed, replaced. And in the case of like some custom telemetry equipment I've got built and at some of the sites, they would be clueless. And so you try to make provisions so that there's a smooth transition. And I know that's a almost taboo word, seems like, since about January of this year. But anyway, that's the kind of week I've had. It's been pretty busy, and doesn't seem to be letting up, because next week's lined up with tower climbs, lamp replacements, working on the grounding on some guy wires at one of my client stations that got damaged by a bush hog or a tractor or something in the past. So just hoping the weather holds out and that I can hold up. So if you wonder what a week's like for a broadcast engineer, there you go. And that doesn't even include the time you spend online checking EAS logs and just reviewing transmitters over your coffee, looking in remotely to make sure everything is behaving as you want it to, and trying, in the event that some problem is developing, to catch it a little ahead of time. So there you go. That's been the week. And of course, it's just Saturday. Depending on whether you consider a week to end on Saturday night or Sunday night, the week's not quite over yet, so who knows what will pop up. But there you go. Hey, hope you're all having a great weekend, or day, or evening, or whatever time it is, whenever and wherever you happen to be watching this. But it's just a pleasure to be taking care of my clients, try to do a good job for them. And we don't know what weekends and holidays are in the broadcast engineering business. You just take care of business. So, hey, everyone, have a great one, and hope you fellow broadcast engineers, that everything's running smoothly this weekend, and you're busy working on those future upgrade projects and cool new things, and not having to go put out fires. So there you go. Hey, it's Dan, wishing you all the best. Take care.